I didn't expect Porky's poultry plant, which is quite a tongue twister, to be as powerful and emotional as it was. I'm not saying I cried buckets at the end, but it genuinely moved me. That being said, the first half was very slow. This was released in 1936. It's a Warner Brothers cartoon directed by Frank Tashlin, with a story by George Manuel. And interestingly, Porky is voiced by Joe Dougherty in this particular cartoon. And for the first 3 minutes or so, we're just introduced to Porky and his farm. And of course, it's important to set the scene and introduce us to the main characters, but I think they spend a little bit too much time just showing us Porky feeding his hens and his other birds. And then we get to see posters of all of these birds that have gone missing and stolen by the hawk. And Porky is clearly distressed by this because these birds are not just farm animals, they're his pets. And that's when it changed, and the turning point then, it actually became much better paced. Things picked up very quickly, and the action really took hold at that point. And it became a lot more emotional as this hawk comes along and grabs his chicken, and this mother hen is frantic and panicking, and Porky, being a big bird father, jumps into his airplane and goes after the hawk and tries. And there are multiple hawks start appearing, and it's a real fight. And it's very intense and it's quite emotional. And I got a real sense that Porky cared for his birds and obviously wanted to rescue the birds and look after them. And it was emotional and it worked very well. So let's say the first third of it was not very good. It took too long to set the scene. It wasn't terrible. If they'd cut it down and maybe made it a bit better pace, what we got wasn't terrible. But I feel like they could have cut out a little bit, or maybe increased the action so that it was the same length but with more excitement. But once it got going, I really liked it. Porky is in his earlier incarnation here, where he's taller and I think a little bit rounder and just not as interesting a character, but I still have a soft spot for him regardless. Definitely worth watching if you're a Porky Pig fan or a fan of Warner Brothers. It's not perfect, but it definitely, once it got going, moved me in ways that I wasn't expected. Porky's poultry plant is definitely worth watching at least once.